According to John Carpenter, remakes in general are a result of necessity being the mother of invention. They can't open movies consistently and break through the advertising clutter that's out there. I have a few debates and opinions about that. In today's episode, I'm going to be sitting down with a guest podcaster and talk about remakes, sequels, and why they rule, but also why they suck. Are they a necessity? Maybe. But frankly, I think remakes these days are just not what they used to be, and that if we're going to make good movies, we got to come up with fresh content. So for all you listeners out there, this is the newest episode of Chatterbox. Let's get started. Hey folks, how y'all doing? I'm Al Tess here. Welcome to another episode of Chatterbox. Today, joining me is host of the podcast Lights, Camera, Remake, and acclaimed cinematographer. You may know her from Stranger Things if you guys like to binge it just as much as I do. Bridget LaMonica. Bridget, great to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you. No one will know me from Stranger Things.
That's because it's the people in the background who deserve a lot more credit.
Yeah, I think I told you that one of my bigger shows that I've worked on is something no one will ever notice because I did the interviews for Stranger Things. I filmed the interviews. But yeah, hi. Happy to be here. Happy to talk nerdy stuff with you. Totally into it.
Well, I mean, I think that's what people say. They claim that we're nerds and stuff like that. I mean, when I engage with people about like movies and stuff, they sometimes are like, "Ooh, that's cool." Others look at me like, "Wow, that's a lot of worthless knowledge." Like the fact that you know how many takes the jelly donut scene in Full Metal Jacket was. Like they look at me like, I don't know, almost like, "How about algebra?" I'm like, "Screw algebra."
They don't understand why we get into a deep dark hole on random trivia. And I'm sorry, you're just not going to get it if you don't get it already.
Exactly, yeah. So let's talk about what you talk about, remakes, and why some of them rock and others just never needed to be made.
Yeah, so Erica and I started this podcast. I'm a camera operator. My friend Erica is a camera assistant. So we're coming at this from a professional side and also as a movie lover side. And we decided to do a podcast on remakes and sequels because that's one of those things that people have such a strong knee-jerk reaction to, especially remakes. I noticed people were talking, like I was talking about like topics we'd have on this podcast when we were deciding what it was going to be. We're like, I don't know, maybe we'll just do Georgia filmmakers. And we're like, I don't know if that's enough. We kind of want to expand past that. Maybe we'll talk about bad movies. No, everybody talks about bad movies. And then we were like, what about remakes? And then somebody at the table with us was like, oh my God, I hate remakes. They're always terrible. And it was like immediate, like, and that happened everywhere we went. And we're like, okay, now we know what the podcast is about.
Yes, yeah. For me, my opinion about remakes is this. It speaks very loudly about the hole Hollywood is stuck in. They're stuck in a hole where they're like, you know what? I can't come up with a fresh script anymore. We're just going to recycle shit that was made 50 years ago and see if we can make it look better. And the reality is this. Sometimes they do well. Other times they fuck up big time.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes.
I think a great example of, and now obviously I work in film, so I mean, I get it. I see it as a consumer and I see it as a person who's probably part of the problem. But when the Barbie movie hit it off so big, it was a huge success. And instead of noticing that, you know, original writing and female directors and all this production design, instead of seeing all that, a bunch of companies went, we need to make a bunch of movies about dolls now. And we're like, no, that wasn't the point. You got the wrong. Immediately they're like, we're going to do a movie about brats. We're going to do a movie about whatever. And like, okay, no, you need to slow down. Once they do wait, no, they have done a Lego movie. Never mind, nothing is sacred. A Connect 4 movie, then I'm done. I quit.
I agree with you on that. No, my wife made me watch Barbie. Originally, I was so deeply apprehensive about it. I thought, this didn't need to be made. This didn't need to be made. But I saw it, and I definitely got it. And I'm a fan of Greta Gerwig, so applause to her. My favorite Greta Gerwig film, though, believe it or not, is Little Women.
Little Women, okay. All right.
Yes. I mean, it was filmed here in Massachusetts. I've been to Concord, Mass, on a number of occasions. I've walked past the house itself, and it's wonderful and stuff. And it's also, that's like one of those remakes that I'm not gonna abash or anything,
Yeah.
because it's such a sacred, cherished story.
Mhm.
And it's really, I think it's the way they were describing it when I watched the featurette, is that it's important that it's passed down from generation to generation in order to embrace the empowerment and the statement that's made within the story.
I think that's what a good remake does. And that's why I now hesitate to say that remakes suck. Because, yes, I agree, there are some really bad ones. We've covered a couple on our podcast. We'll cover some more. But there are some that reinvigorate a story and bring another twist on a theme for a newer audience. And then they can go back and watch the original. Nothing's stopping it. It's not like it was deleted. Like, it still exists. And sometimes watching a movie now makes people go, oh, what was the movie from the past that inspired this? And for example, one of Erica's episodes was You've Got Mail. I didn't know that was a remake. That's
Neither
a remake of a 1940s movie called The Shop Around the Corner. I had no idea they were the same story.
Neither did I. I listened to the episode. I'm like, whoa,
Thanks.
Wait a second. Jimmy Stewart, like,
right,
the legend.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It's interesting. And I mean, in some ways, you can look at it as a downer thing, like, oh my god, Hollywood has no new ideas. They just remake everything. But in that case, it was refreshed for a modern audience. And then if you were really interested, you could go back and watch the original movie, which a lot of people still hold near and dear to their hearts. So I think there's arguments both ways.
I totally agree. My disappointment when it comes to the world of remakes is Disney. That's my ultimate disappointment. I
get
literally, whenever I find out that they are doing a live-action remake, I'm like, you do know Walt Disney is rolling over tirelessly in his grave as we speak. This is not art. This is not creativity. This is a disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I feel like that about most of them.
Definitely.
I have to admit, I need to see more of them to talk better about it, because we want to cover that at some point, live-action Disney remakes. For one thing, don't call it live-action if it's 100% CGI. That's animated. Stop it. Stop trying to act cool. Your lions weren't live action. They were CGI. It's still animation.
Correct. Yes.
But yeah, I agree that most of it's kind of tiresome. Now, I mean, I wish they would be a little brave and do a different interpretation on some things. Maybe they did with casting on certain movies. I'm okay with that. But like, we know the stories by heart. So why don't we do the Grimm's fairy tales version of some of these stories? Why don't we do the dark, twisty ones?
And what's even more disappointing is that they're not going. They've gone far back and stuff like that, but they're not going back far enough. If you get what I'm saying, like the next proposition they have for a live action remake is Tangled.
That's too recent. I don't understand.
Exactly. They're doing Lilo and Stitch, which is only 20 years old.
I know, that hurts my soul.
That's just an insult in my book. Oh, and they're doing a live-action Moana, too.
Yeah, which was ironic because they were doing live-action Moana while they were making the sequel, the animated sequel, and people kept talking about, oh, somebody's working on Moana. I'm like, the animated movie? No, they're working on the set. Oh, I'm like, oh, I forgot that was a thing.
Yes, and Dwayne Johnson, of course, will be himself.
He's himself in every movie.
Oh, 100%.
Have you ever seen that meme where it's 4 pictures of him? He's in a jungle attire, and people are like, "This is 4 different movies." It's true.
No, I don't think
he's
I have.
in Jungle Cruise, Jumanji 1 and 2, and then there was a Netflix movie that I forget what the title was. All jungle movies with him in a similar outfit. I worked on Jungle Cruise as an office PA. That's when I first moved here.
Nice.
That was an interesting experience. The sets were really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, that movie just got canned for like a year or 2 afterwards, so I didn't see it for a while. And finally it came out in theaters, and it was very quiet release. They didn't advertise that movie very much.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Like, I don't want to say I protest. remakes per se, but I definitely am deeply apprehensive about it. If it's a Disney remake, I immediately protest it, and people will be like, "You need to see it." I'm like, "No." I'm like, I went to film school. I studied film. I still keep myself up to date. I am an encyclopedia. And I can promise you my entire month's salary that it is not worth it under any circumstances. Because, for starters, like, some of the stuff they made, the entire cast is deceased. So it's kind of like almost spitting on their legacy. Or you think maybe you're better than the original actors and you're trying to, like, upscale them. I'm like, you can't do that. That's
Well,
not the
I
way
don't
it
know.
works.
I don't know if it's insulting in that regards, but I think it's insulting to, if you want to say it's insulting, I think it's insulting to a modern audience, right? Because you're like, you will not accept anything new.
Yep.
So I'm just going to keep rehashing the same story over and over. And I'm going to reboot these things over and over because that's all you'll accept. And I think we found that when original movies get enough love and advertising and word of mouth, they do well. Everything
yes.
Everywhere All at Once blew up that summer. That was insane. And that was a very original movie.
Yes.
Like, but they still go off of this, procedure of, like, guaranteed returns. They always want, it's based on a book, it's based on a show, it's based on something, it's a sequel, it has brand recognition. And that's why a lot of times these studios will fall back on those films because they're like, well, we have at least some guaranteed audience that's going to see this. So it's better than that random indie darling we just found on Blacklist or something. It's hard. It's really hard to break in with a new script nowadays, but it doesn't mean you have to stop. You got to keep trying.
Yeah, like, I do screenwriting, and I'm working on the third one, because you told me quite clearly you need at least 3.
You have to have 3.
Yes. And I am the kind of guy, one of the things that pushes me towards screenwriting is because I want the new generation, especially, I want millennials to really take control of the business, or to be able to bring fresh, new content and stuff. Because I think so many, like, eager, hungry young filmmakers like ourselves have caught on to the dismay that Hollywood has been putting out over the past 10 odd years now. And we're like, no, it's our turn to start steering things. It's our turn to start pushing in the right direction. And me, I never write the same thing twice, ever. I always switch gears with a different script. Like, the first thing I wrote was dark horror comedy. The second was true crime drama about the drug wars. The third one I'm writing is literally a female-based drama / romance.
Oh wow, that is a range.
I like to also step outside of my comfort zone. Like, my fourth script, I'm already in the works. I'm actually going to write Korean cinema.
Oh wow. So do you watch a lot of? Yeah, I heard it, but I was.
My wife and I love Squid Game.
Okay.
We watched Train to Busan. I watched a lot of Korean cinema when I was in film school. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to be the Boston Irish guy who writes a Korean spy film.
Nice.
Yes.
There's some good K-dramas and things out there, and that's one of the things, like, expanding your horizon with some international films. It can really open you up as a creative person, and I think everybody should try to do that more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely need to watch more international cinema, but there's a few, like, especially like Japanese movies that I saw that I was like, oh my god, the story is amazing. Yes. Someone's like, oh, you have to read subtitles? Like, well, if you can't handle subtitles, then I don't know if you can handle tying your shoes in the morning.
Exactly.
Like, you can handle it.
I totally agree. And that actually reminds me to, like, Lights, Camera remake and stuff. A classic Japanese film that everyone knows, Seven Samurai.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The premise for Seven Samurai has been adapted on so many occasions. The film Burnt, starring Bradley Cooper, the cooking film, was inspired by Seven Samurai.
Oh, it's one of those movies. Okay.
The Dirty Dozen was inspired by Seven Samurai. movies that have truly made a name for themselves, a lot of them turn back to Akira Kurosawa's legacy of Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
People may not know that. Yeah.
It's homage, and it's also like a spiritual successor kind of thing.
Yes, it focuses simply on that premise that you have this band of brothers, one might say, all of whom come from the most abstract, dark, different backgrounds whatsoever. But when united, they are like the ultimate power team.
That's cool. Yeah, and it just goes to show that some stories are very timeless, and you can update them and have the same basic through line.
One thing that kind of drives me off the rails when it comes to remakes is when they can't stop making them, if you get what I'm saying. Like, the best example I can give you is A Star is Born.
Oh yeah, 3 times now, I think.
5.
What? Oh no, that's too many.
Exactly. I believe in the do you know who the very first Lady Gaga character was in A Star is Born?
I guess it wasn't Barbara Streisand. It must have been somebody else.
The girl who wore the ruby slippers.
It was Judy Garland. Oh, that's right. I heard about this.
Judy Garland, yeah.
So I'm missing 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot of movies.
That says something when it comes to, okay, we've done this so many. What's your opinion about that? If somebody is willing to remake a film 5 times.
Yeah, I didn't know it was 5 times. I knew about 3 of them. I liked the Lady Gaga one. I only watched that one though, so I didn't see the others. So that one's probably not the best example for me, but looking at it from a distance, maybe you could have told another original story about a star coming into their own power and being discovered, because I feel like that's a story that could go in multiple different directions. I don't know if it follows the same beats as the original previous versions. But you can always, if you want to make another Godzilla, if you want to make another A Star is Born, you could use elements from it without copying it, without doing it again, and make something fresh.
Yes. I think the one, like I had brought up, like Little Women, this is, I think the most recent one, the Greta Gerwig one. I believe that's the 4th time they've made it, if my math is correct. But then you look at others, like Romeo and Juliet. They've made that about 6 times now, I think. I think there are 6
probably more. Probably more if we don't even count things called Romeo and Juliet, because West Side Story is Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, it is.
And they have multiple versions of that. So, yeah, and then you have like the Leonardo DiCaprio very modern one.
Hated it.
Hated it.
I'm sorry.
I think a bunch of teenage girls like that one. I didn't like it.
That is the worst performance of Leo's career. Leo, if you are listening into this, like, dude, chops, you got heck of chops. Big props to you. I am a fan of your work, but dude, no. I didn't like it. You disappointed me there, bro. You failed.
He was a baby. It was many moons ago.
He was like only 20, 21 years old when he made that, for cripe's sake.
Young and impressionable.
Exactly.
Well, I would say, I think there's probably something else that fits the bill, but one of the most adapted stories of all time is A Christmas Carol.
Yes, I didn't even think of that.
There's like 20 or 30 of them, and I'm not even kidding. And we're including the Muppets.
Yes, you have to. But like you said, there's a legacy there. So it's not like it's going to get bashed if you remake it again, because of the legacy and the impact it has on cinema and storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. A lot of this is subjective, right? It's how people feel about things. People feel like certain movies and certain stories are untouchable, are too sacred to mess up. And sometimes you have those discussions, and then the new version of the movie comes out, and there are people who like it. Sometimes it's not for the same audience. Sometimes they're trying to be. So it's more complicated than we think. But yes, if they remade A Princess Bride, I probably wouldn't be too pleased about that. Or if they remade some other classic movies that I don't feel like need an update, just watch the original movie. What's What's wrong with the original?
I grew up with The Princess Bride, for Christ's sake. I think
Yeah, it's classic.
anybody who's a millennial who was exposed to like 80s movies and stuff like grew up with it.
Yeah, things
I
like that people will die for. They're like, no, don't you dare. There's a few
yes.
movies that were announced recently where people are like, no, how dare you? Wish I could think of the titles right now, but they're always. I looked at the list of movies coming out for this year, and a good 75% of them are a remake, a sequel, or a full reboot of a franchise. And that's most of the movies coming out.
That's cringy. That is on edge and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One thing that one genre that I feel that they have refused to touch in regards to remakes, and it very much pleases me, is horror.
Really? Because there's some horror remakes out there.
Okay, I will admit this. So the one horror remake I've seen that I think was better, It.
Okay.
And It
Oh,
Chapter 2.
I liked It. That's a controversial thing for some people, though. I liked It Chapter 1 and 2, and a lot of people who liked they came out in the 80s, right? The
Yes,
original
with Tim
film.
Curry.
Yeah, a lot of people were so stuck on the Tim Curry version, but I liked the modern one. I liked the take. I liked the depiction of trauma for these different characters. I thought it was a very grown-up way of expressing it.
Yes.
I'm okay with it, and you can still go back and watch the original.
I've watched the original only once, and truth be told, lo and behold, I definitely prefer It Chapter 1 and It Chapter 2. I think one thing also that people don't know is that Stephen King was heavily involved with the making of both Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. I mean, he makes a cameo in Chapter 2, which is something that he almost never would do if you look back on his legacy of the film adaptations and stuff like that. So if you bring the creator into the ball game, you know that they're going to use it's their baby. So they're going to nurture it and raise it and make sure it grows up right.
Yeah, well, we usually feel that way too, but we ran into something, a little bit of surprise while we were recording our RoboCop episode. For one thing, I didn't know that RoboCop was remade. That's how well that remake did. But I saw it on a list and I'm like, okay, we gotta cover it. This is like a classic 80s movie. It's iconic. We talk about it all the time. Why not? The movie is not good. The remake is not good. And I was like, this is what happens when somebody new tries to take on a thing and they don't understand where it came from. But it's the same writer as the original movie. He was involved. He was involved with the remake, and we realized this as we were doing the podcast because Erica was presenting the 1980s one, and I was presenting the new one. And as she read out who it was, I'm like, I just realized something horrible, and I'll tell you when I get to my version. I'm like, it's the same guy. How did this happen? So yeah, it doesn't always work. Sometimes a director can be too close to something, or a writer could be too close to something, but that's kind of why my feeling on director's cuts is they're usually not that great, because a director gets really attached to a scene or something that they filmed that they're like, oh, I have to show this, and then you watch it and you're like, this was cut for a reason.
Correct, absolutely.
So,
I agree.
Yeah, normally I would like to see the original creators have something to do with it. Sometimes there's going to be a misstep. And no one's perfect.
No, not under any circumstances. No. What is it like? When they made the movie Hannibal Rising, the person who wrote the script, believe it or not, was the author of the Hannibal Lecter saga.
Oh, okay.
And surprisingly, I believe that film actually tanked terribly and stuff like that. Oh, yes. Yeah.
That's impressive. I didn't know that the author did the new version. I know I saw Hannibal Rising. I can't tell you a single thing that happens in that movie. I don't remember it at all. Oh.
The actor who played him died, yeah. Guess about, he was 36.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, and he is a legend in France, so it was even more heartbreaking. Like, I haven't watched most of the French cinema I've watched was from, like, the 50s and stuff. And it put me to sleep, believe it or not. But he was a legend in France. He played Yves Saint Laurent and stuff like that. He was in a film about the French Indochina War. So when he died, it was a huge blow. He was in Moon Knight, one of the episodes of Moon Knight, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and he died before the episode premiered, so they dedicated it to him.
Oh, wow. What a
Yes,
shame.
yeah.
So young.
Too young. Too young.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to bring him back for Moon Knight, and we're like, they were going to use it as his way to really break out onto the American stage.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know he's in that. Okay. What an interesting connection.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, but the guy who wrote the books wrote the script, and yet it tanked. But I did an episode about that. There's a fine line between novelistic writing and screenwriting. Some of the ideas that I've come up with and written down, I've realized quite clearly that some of this can be put on the silver screen and others need to remain in books.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some honestly, we have different mediums for a reason. Some things, some stories are very insular. You have a lot of like internal monologue with your characters. That doesn't always play very well on the big screen because film is a visual medium, and if you don't have a very visual story, it's going to be very difficult to keep an audience's attention.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree. What was it? I had something at the tip of my tongue.
Well, I have a random anecdote for you in bouncing off what you said about Hannibal Rising. So one of my professors at SCAD was a producer on Fried Green Tomatoes, and he was talking about this. It was a very famous book. It was a very popular book, and they were adapting it into a movie. They hired the author of the book to write the screenplay, and depending on when you ask him, he'll tell you, well, we decided to get another writer or something like that. Or I think the true story is the script was so unintelligible and terrible, we had to fire the author. We had to hire somebody else to write it. So, you know, certain mediums don't translate. The movie's great. I don't remember who actually wrote the movie, but the original author was a great novelist and not so good on the screenplay writing, from what I understand.
Yes, yeah, I definitely agree. You're right. There are different mediums, so we need to be able to balance those out and know when the boot fits. Like, does this fit for TV? Does this fit for film? Or is it meant to just be locked up in a library? And sometimes it's better to just keep it locked up in a library. Because, especially if, like... Because I've noticed one of the biggest trends more than anything else is that they're adapting so many books and stuff to being made into films these days. I feel like that's an example of Hollywood having run out of ideas. I'm not saying that is a remake in and of itself, that you're taking a book or a true story and turning it into a film, but it feels that way. In my opinion, sometimes.
Yeah, well, we want to talk about adaptations, too. It comes from another source, right? It comes from previously existing source material. So we do want to talk about adaptations at some point just because we're interested in it.
Yes.
Some come out good, like, but some don't. Like, there's... Especially with book adaptations, you always have this picture in your mind of what characters look like and how events take place. And then you see how they film it, and you're like, that's not how I saw it. That's not right. Like, have you seen Where the Crawdads Sing?
Crawdads Sing? No, I have not. I have not heard of that one.
It's good. I like it. It was a very popular book, and it's about this young girl who basically lives on her own in the bayou of, I think, one of the Carolinas. And she's basically a wild woman. She lives on her own. She learns how to fend for herself. She goes into town, and she's just the wild woman who goes into town. And now this story is bookended by a murder mystery, where eventually when she grows up, she's accused of murder, and she has to prove her innocence. And the only complaint I had about the movie adaptation, and I thought they did a decent job, she was too clean. Her hair was too nice. She lived in the woods. She didn't care about how she looked. How come her hair was perfect? I don't get it. But that's like a minor gripe. I mean, there are more serious ones, especially with like romance books. When those get adapted, people get really attached to how they think the stars should look because they're idealizing whoever they'd like to see.
Yes.
And they're almost always a little spicy about the casting, which I got no time in the day to do that myself. But
I think there's like so many, like there's so much mixed critique when they made like 50 Shades of Grey into a film.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ton of mixed critique. There's some that are saying, oh, this is fantastic. Others are like, oh, this is nothing. This is 1,000 miles from the book.
Right, and some of the people were like, that's not how I saw Christian Grey. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
did you see him, or did you just have a lot of really terrible descriptions of sex? I don't feel good about that book. Very, not my cup of tea. But you know what? If there's anyone out there who enjoys it, that's fine. We all like different things. That's
Yes,
cool.
yeah. And sometimes even the actors themselves are like, this was meant to be a book for a reason. Robert Pattinson has actually slapped Twilight in the face on a number of occasions, and he's like, it was better as a book than it was as a movie, yet at the same time, it's the film that gave him his career, for cripe's sake.
It is, which hopefully he still has a little humbleness left in him to understand that. But he's done well for himself in doing other roles and doing, expanding his repertoire. That's what you have to do as an actor, lest you be typecast, because that's a very real problem.
Mm-hmm. What is your perception in regards to them having remade so many comic book characters in films?
Are you talking about reboots specifically?
Like, it for me, reboot, remake, it very much feels that way. Like, there have been, like, what, 6 Supermans and 6 different Supermans, 6
More
different
than that,
Batmans.
Yeah. I had a list at one point, but there's it's up there. It's up there. Batman is only surpassed by Doctor Who in actors. Doctor Who has more. But yeah, there's like 8 Superman, there's like 9 Batman. I forget how many. I looked it up once. We have at least 3 live action Spider-Men. We're not counting voice actors, then we get crazy.
3.
Yeah.
Yes, yep, 3.
So I feel different ways about it. So especially with like Spider-Man, every time he got rebooted, I got mad at first, and then I watched the movie, and then I liked a new interpretation of the character. So I can be guilty of being judgy in the beginning too. Every time Superman gets rebooted, I'm like, come on, what are you doing? But I actually am looking forward to James Gunn's Superman this summer. It looks really wholesome, and I feel like I need that in my life. So, I don't know, I think if you enjoy a character, you're open to seeing another interpretation of it. But I do get a little sad when, like, storylines get abandoned and, proper care isn't taken with a character, and they just kind of throw something together. It just doesn't seem fair. People put a lot of time into these things. The actor alone, they're putting themselves out there, but there's an entire crew that spent a year making each of these movies to like phone it in. Don't phone it in. Put your all into it.
I've talked about like comic book movies on my podcast before and stuff like that, and I definitely have like my opinions and stuff. Like, for me, reflecting on regards to like, there have been I don't know how many different Batmans now, like what, 6?
There's been a few.
The way I like to put it to people is this: Michael Keaton will always be the one true Batman, but Christian Bale perfected the role. That's the way I can see that. Say it.
I like that. I like Keaton, especially when he came back, when he did the Flash cameo. Like, the Flash movie wasn't great, but the cameos were excellent.
Yes, yeah.
I love Michael Keaton so much. You can tell I'm a bit of a nerd because many nerdy posters and Comic-Con prints and
gosh, yes.
So
I literally want to cover our entire back wall with nothing but like movie posters and stuff like that.
I recommend it. It's fun.
yes, it feels good. You feel like you're in your zone.
Yeah.
For me, my opinion is this: Christopher Reeve will always be the one true Superman.
Yeah, I really love him. He embodied it. He embodied it the best first, I would say. Nobody else had the pathos or the I don't know, there's something, the empathy that goes into that character. Like, the TV shows before that were very campy and silly and comic booky and more like the comic strip. Yeah. And then by the time we got to the 1970s movies with Christopher Reeve, they did it. They knocked it out of the park. You could believe a man could fly. Yes. But then you got Superman 3 and 4, and most of us have bemoaned the fact that those movies exist, especially by the 4th one. I haven't even seen the 4th one. I'll be honest, I'm a huge Superman fan. Never seen A Quest for Peace. I've heard about it, I've seen clips, and I'm like, why did they do this to my man? How could you do this?
I think we can all agree that the only sequels of the past, like, 20-something odd years that we were always desperately eager to find out what the next one was Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
Right, and we already knew what to expect. Like, I can't wait till the basilisk comes. Like,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Like we were
that's
kids
true.
and stuff, and that was the thing back then.
My
And I
goodness,
think
yeah, that was like
also
an event.
yeah, and I think also because it's based on such a book series that made like such an impact just as the book alone, I feel like maybe, in my opinion, the producers knew from the get-go this is gonna work.
Mm. Yeah, I
Because
think that's a good way. Yeah.
if you take a book, a saga of sequels that's epic in and of itself, just as a book trilogy alone, you know that it's going to be even more bolder when it
Mhm.
hits the silver screen.
Yeah, and they were also both fantasy epics, so they translate well to the screen.
Yes.
I would say Lord of the Rings probably did it better, and I'm saying that as a person who's not a big Lord of the Rings fan. I can appreciate it for what it is, but I think they honestly just did it better from their world building and from the fact that they were filming some of those movies simultaneously, and they were planting crops of corn so it would look legit. Like, they went all out going into the source material, and they had what, 3 movies in the original storyline, right? Before we got to the Hobbit and all that. Okay.
Yep.
But now with Harry Potter, since it took so long to happen, you can see a lot of tonal shifts that don't always match. Like, by the time we got to the 3rd movie, we have a new director, we have a new tone, they're adding different scenes in, which I don't mind them adding different scenes in. By all means, give me something fresh and new. I'm cool with it. But you could see it change throughout the series as it went from silly kids movie to running from the government by the end. Like, it escalated quickly. But it's cool.
It went
yeah.
from light to like pitch black.
It had
Almost
to
with a snack of your fingers.
It aged with the readers of the time as they were aging with the books they were growing up, and things were getting more serious. So, I mean, I can appreciate that. But yeah, you could see tonal shifts because it took so long for those movies to come out.
Even just the music alone, like we all know the ding, 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 but
Classic.
it just changed completely. Like almost, it felt more like a total 180. Like eventually, it was the exact opposite of what we first heard. Like back 20 plus years ago. I still can't believe it's been that long. It says
I
a lot
still can't
about
believe
how
it
old we
either.
are.
I know.
Yes.
Just you talking about Lilo and Stitch a minute ago just gave me palpitations. I'm like, what? 20 years ago.
I know. I see on Facebook like how you're almost like this age, and I'm like, no.
I know. You feel like you age a little bit. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You're just dripping into old age right now.
Correct. Yes. And I do feel like whenever you hear a rumor about a remake being made, like, don't you immediately get some sort of gut reaction like, no?
Mostly, yeah. I would say I still have a little bit of that feeling, but I'm trying to keep more of an open mind now because sometimes I realize the things I loved were a remake. So
True.
I think I have a little bit more of a educated response to it, but there are times when I see, those little things that go by, and it's like, oh, look, so-and-so is getting remade, or so-and-so is going to be the new whatever character. And I have that, like, a little bit of that lurch where I'm like, oh, really?
Yes.
I guess. So I feel it.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, all right. I'm either like, all right, let's give it a shot. Or in other instances, I immediately am like, because sometimes I'm a little black and white, per se. I'll be like, no, absolutely not. Like, there was a rumor, and I don't even know if it's true or not. I would have to look online that they were going to remake Ghost.
Ghost? Swayze?
Yes,
Ghost?
And guess who they wanted to replace Swayze?
Oh gosh, who's gonna be the it guy now? Ryan Reynolds. I don't know.
Channing Tatum.
Oh.
And I'm like,
okay.
no, absolutely not. The moment they said Channing Tatum, I'm like, no.
You should pick a nobody, to be honest. I have such
done. And I'm
yeah.
Because I have such high respects for that film. Like, no matter how many times I see it, at the end, I still cry like a baby.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a good one. It's a good one.
And
but
I'm sure
yeah,
Demi Moore herself would probably have stepped in and been like, "You're not doing this. I forbid it."
Yeah, they are remaking it. Oh, but they announced that like a couple years ago. Who knows if that's even happening anymore? You never know.
I hope they drop it.
Sometimes things disappear. Yeah.
I know. I feel like Demi Moore would object to it because, like,
It's a pivotal movie for
that's
her.
how exactly. It's part of what made her her and stuff like that. I mean, she was phenomenal in The Substance and stuff like that. It was a great movie. I
Right.
don't like that it won for like being categorized as a comedy because
I
it
don't.
is.
They
Yeah,
keep doing that. They did that to Get Out. Get Out was not a comedy.
no.
So wild. But yeah, you're right. And also certain things with like older movies, I feel like we can appreciate them encapsulated in their time. But when you bring it to
Yes.
modern day, I don't think that pottery scene is gonna vibe as well in the 2020s. I don't know. It might seem a little
No.
silly.
Yeah, they'd probably think that's old. I'm sure that's what
Mm-hmm.
viewers would think. They're like, that's old.
It's
Nobody does
cheesy.
that anymore. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's
When
got
in
a pottery
reality,
wheel?
but in reality, when people like you and I see it, we're like, there's a level of elegance to it. It's a very, one might say, I'd have to say, a very intimate moment.
Yeah.
Encapsulating the two of them together, it brings them together. As well, if you ask a random Gen Z who don't know jack squat because they're brainwashed by Facebook and X, they'll probably be like, what?
Well, Gen Z, that's more TikTok, but I got you.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Social
understand
media
where you're
rules
coming
their
from.
world. Social
Yeah,
media
the
rules their
attention
world.
span. I do have hope that Gen Z catches up with some things, so we'll see. We'll see where things go.
Yes, yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, no, I get
Mhm.
it. Certain things feel sacred. Certain things feel like we shouldn't redo it. And I feel like something like Ghost that belongs in its time as its own
Correct.
piece. And if you want to tell a supernatural love story, go ahead, but
Mhm.
find a new angle on it. I want to see a different interpretation.
Exactly. Like one thing I found out, because I'm always whenever they like bring back maybe something from the black and white golden age and stuff like that,
Hmm.
that's when I cringe a little bit. That's
Okay.
when I really cringe. Like if they were to say, "Oh, we're gonna remake Casablanca," I'm like, "You can't do that." I would literally confront the producer and be like, "You're an idiot. You can't remake this movie. Like this movie
Yeah,
is a
that's one of
golden
them.
legend in the world of cinema." Because I found out this, like, you know the movie Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to know what the inspiration from that film was?
I
Rear
honestly,
Window, directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
oh, I could see that. Okay, but now we've
It was
got a different
inspired by
movie.
Rear Window.
Okay,
Exactly,
okay.
yeah.
I can accept that
But
as its own
I
thing.
feel like for like what you were just saying, like a
Hmm.
different spin, a different angle, that actually worked. I
Yeah.
feel that they did fairly well. Like you took something that was made back in the 50s and stuff like that, and we know that's not going to fly too well. So to take the similar premise and kind of scope it out as it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because Rear Window was what, James Stewart,
Yep, Jimmy Stewart.
and then which I think he broke his leg, so he's stuck in his apartment. In the Shia
Yes.
LaBeouf movie, he's got an ankle monitor because he got in trouble, so he can't leave the
Yeah.
house for that reason, and it's in a suburban
Yes.
neighborhood. So you've already changed enough elements: the age of your main character, the situation they're in, the location they're in, and what they observe. So you've changed enough elements, but it's still a similar story. So I can appreciate that.
Yes, yeah. Because me, like when some of the stuff I write, I try to get a little bit of inspiration from a lot of movies that I've seen and love, and I don't try to steal what I've seen on them under any circumstances, but I try to take fabricated elements from it to mold it together into something new and stuff. Like the third script I'm currently writing right now, it's called Phantom. It is about a young female author who this is a woman who is I wanted to focus I've Phantom I originally actually started writing when I was 26 years old, and it was supposed to be a male tragedy where the main character dies of cancer.
Oh no!
But
What a
yes,
downer.
but I got caught up in like the whole women's rights movement, the Me Too movement and stuff like that. And wanted to make something that was less masculine and more female based to pay homage to all of the women who have had a profound impact on my life and to show how strong they are. But I was like, how do I do this per se?
Yeah.
And in it, you have like a band, like there are multiple women who kind of come together. I was watching Little Women, and I love how you've got the March sisters who all have these different personalities and stuff, but they come together as one. And that was one of the inspirations for how I was going to draw this out, was Little Women itself.
Right. And just getting inspiration from something doesn't mean you're copying it by any means.
Exactly.
You can't exist as an artist in a vacuum. You can't be in a
No.
white room with no other stimuli and come up with a great epic story. You could try that. I think you'll go crazy first, but you need to experience many different things and see so many different versions of art and go outside your comfort zone with what you read and watch and experience. And then bring back that into what story you create.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree 100%. Yeah. Do you feel that with, like, we were talking about superhero movies and stuff like that, do you feel that it needs to end? Because I feel that it does.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. But I've been hearing the words superhero fatigue for about 10 years now. So here's what I think. I feel like they're kind of here to stay, but what I would like to see is a little bit more on the standalone movies that don't need an entire catalog to back them up. And I would also like to see different interpretations. So, like, not your standard superhero movie, but like, dude, give me some superhero horror. Give me something different. Moon Knight was weird. I liked that it was weird. It was different, you know?
Yes.
Like, I think getting a little bit more adventurous with the stories, because then it's not just a superhero story, then that's just a piece of it. It's like saying there's a policeman in your story, you know?
Yes.
Then you can wrap it up in something else. So, do I think it needs to end? Not necessarily. But I understand the fatigue, and I think there's a way to address it.
I agree with you. Yeah, there is a fatigue, because I myself have gotten kind of tired of it and stuff like that. From what I've communicated with some people, the reason why they say we can't stop making superhero movies is because there's almost an endless catalog of comic books with different heroes that they just feel, you know what, let's make one about this hero, that hero, etc., etc. And frankly, truth be told, I'm more of a bigger fan of just like where they focus on one superhero in general versus like the Avengers films and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I'm not as big on the team up movies because I feel like you have to spread it out too far.
Neither
and
am
you don't
I.
focus on anybody. But I would say they still make them because people still go to them. Maybe not as fervently as we did 10, 15 years ago, but they still go to them. So there's still a bankable audience. But sometimes these people who make the financial decisions will take the wrong lesson from things. So like in the early 2000s, there was a couple of films with female leads that were superhero movies that did poorly. And then they decided, oh, nobody wants to see women superheroes. Well, of course you would think that because you've released Catwoman, Elektra, and like something else, and they weren't good. That it wasn't a woman thing; it was a bad script thing, and that's where a lot of the problems come from.
Yes.
So, and then Wonder Woman came out eventually, and then it was like a huge success, and it's because they told a good story.
Yes. And then you have Black Widow.
Yeah, I mean, I liked parts of it, but it wasn't what I was expecting, you know?
I feel that Black Widow was more humorous than action-packed, to be honest.
We waited so long for it. Okay, but I also really liked Florence Pugh in that movie, and I feel like she really got her career going, so I can appreciate that.
Yeah, same. Saw the movie and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, like I liked some scenes, but there are some scenes that are cheesy.
I do feel that they added a bit more humor to it than they did kind of that action-pack element. I mean, like, you're bringing on David Harbour, for cripe's sake. Expect to see some of, like Hopper in there. Expect to see some of his personality shine.
He is a consummate professional, I will say that.
Yes. Definitely, yeah. But I agree with you. There is a fatigue because I myself have gotten tired, and I hear rumors about the next big Marvel movie they're going to be making and stuff, and I'm like, please just end it already. Like, give me some fresh meat. I'm hungry. Give me some fresh meat.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like, I'm interested in
Hmm.
seeing the Thunderbolts. That's one of the ones that's coming
Me
out, but
too.
it is a team up movie. I'd
Yeah.
rather it be a Florence Pugh movie myself,
Hmm.
but
Yes.
I will survive. Um,
I think we
so
all
there
will.
are, but I think now it's almost like the superhero movies are broken up into different genres. You've got the more political thrillers, you've got your Falcon and
Hmm.
Winter Soldier kind of stuff, and
Yep.
you've got your straight up superhero fantasies. You've got,
Hmm.
I think they're almost breaking into different genres now. So you might see, one movie but not see these other ones. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how it's falling now, because honestly, you
Hmm.
can't see them all. Movie ticket prices are ridiculous right now.
Yes.
I will say that. I go to the movies with my friends and even I'm like, really? That much for a movie ticket in
That.
Atlanta? Like
Yes.
$25.
30 up here.
Oh, really? I thought we
For
beat
two.
you. Dang.
Yeah. For
Oh,
like
for two
for like
people?
two
I'm talking
people,
about.
It's like 30.
I'm talking about one. I'm talking about one ticket. It's going to be between $18 to $25, depending on what the showing
that's
is.
criminal. That's called criminal. But then again,
Yeah.
you guys get a lot of business down there, so it doesn't surprise me at the same time.
Yeah, but if you go to the art house theaters, they are a little
Mhm.
cheaper, so I do want to
Okay.
support them a little bit more than the big
Mhm.
retailers. So
one-
I don't know, it's hard.
One
And I
of the
still sneak
superhero-
snacks in.
One of the superhero sequels that I refused to watch was actually Wakanda Forever.
Oh, I can understand why you would do that. Yeah.
I chose not to see it, and I think a few people have told me I need to because of the death of Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
I was like, without him, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, you're really gonna screw up and stuff like that.
You're going to
But-
cry in the first 10 minutes. That's what I would say.
Exactly.
You're going to
But
cry in the
you-
first 10 minutes. There's nothing
everyone
else you could do
cried
about
when
it.
he died.
Of course, it was traumatic. Nobody knew he
yes.
was sick. So, yeah. No, I think
Only
the
a
movie
hand- well,
honored
actually,
him,
a small
but
few. Actually, a small few people did know that he was sick.
well, sure, but I was going to say like the
But,
general
his
public.
oh yeah, the general public
Yeah.
had no idea. Only people like within his inner circle
Yeah.
knew.
A lot of
that
people he
was
worked with
sick.
had no idea. So-
Yeah, I think even some of the some of the guys in the MCU didn't even know.
Right. Yeah. So I would say Wakanda Forever was a decent movie. First
Mhm.
10 minutes is about honoring his legacy, really.
No.
So it's hard, but it's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I would say see it when you're ready. No, I wouldn't force anyone to watch something before they're ready. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood to see something for like a while until I'm in the mood
Mhm.
for it. So that's probably my
Yes.
feeling on that one.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I just want, like, at the end of the day, I just want new content to be coming out.
Mhm.
I myself, I'm sick of just sequels in general and stuff like that. Like, they're gonna be making another Shrek, for cripe's sake.
I know,
No.
wasn't it the last Shrek like 3 Shreks ago?
Exactly.
Something.
It's been Shrek 2 was made 20 years ago.
Oh
Over
god, I
20
just
years
aged
ago.
100 years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
When I
that's
heard
insane.
That, I was like, oh, God, like, I literally was like, damn, you old man.
Ah, that's
So,
so.
I really feel, for me, like, when you've reached a point where you're at, like, going on 5 Shreks now, I'm like, yeah, that's when it ends. Or how they're going to be making another Toy Story, I'm like, yeah, you got to end it there and stuff like that.
How about the Saw franchise? They have so many movies in the Saw franchise.
Mm.
And they kept saying, this is the last one. Oh, just kidding. We're doing another few. Like,
Mm.
really, that made money. We're going to make more. I think there is
That's where it
a
all
polite
comes
time to
from.
bow out.
That's
Yeah.
where it all comes from. I mean, like, what is it? Like, I'm a huge fan of, like, true crime and action. Like, I love the movie Sicario, and I like
Mhm.
Sicario Day of the Soldado, but they plan
Mhm.
on making a third one, and this will be, they said, the final one.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I
if it's
prefer
like
if they have a plan in advance.
so if
and
they,
it makes
exactly.
sense.
So if they have it planned out, and it's just 3 straightforward stories that don't mimic the first one, but are a good kind of continuation, new flow of the original, you know it's worth seeing.
Right.
And also, if they don't title it as like 2, like they have Rocky 1, Rocky 2, Rocky
Two.
3, how many Rockies do you need?
Yeah, you're right. I think you find it like time to bow out. And then if you want to make another horror franchise, start a new one. Give us something fresh. I for one could only stomach so much of Saw because it's torture porn. It's just ridiculous. The first one was pretty good. It was almost like an indie film. It's basically one room for the most part, except for the police scenes, and it really put its mark on cinema at the time. And then of course they're like, oh, we made a lot of money, let's keep going. And sometimes that's where we go astray. Like Paranormal Activity, first one was good. It was like just a darling little indie film that gave me nightmares, and then they kept making more of those because it made money. I don't know.
I mean, the Conjuring films were good.
Oh, I actually just did a personal Conjuring movie marathon. I watched all of them in the universe. So I watched The Nun, I watched Annabelle, I watched all of them. I had to look up a list of which order to watch.
That's what my wife and I did. We watched the whole Conjuring in order and stuff like that. The only thing that disappoints me is that they should have used the original Annabelle doll, the real one, what it really looks like.
I know. What's funny is they chose a creepy doll, but like the fact that Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll, and that's what made her so scary, is because she was so innocent. I do wonder if it's a copyright thing. They couldn't get the rights to it. That could be possible.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if anyone owns that copyright still, but
I think like the son of the two of them is still alive. So I think that's up to the decision of the children, because the mother died a few years ago.
I'm thinking more the company that made the Raggedy Ann dolls, because that's could be a corporate thing where they don't want to be mistaken for, evil possessed dolls and whatnot.
Good point. True. Very true.
Like the movie, if you've ever seen The Boy, and it's about that. It's basically another evil doll type movie, but not really. The real life story, the doll looked very different. The doll was creepy enough, but in the movie they made it look way different. And I don't know, it's just the Hollywoodification of it, I guess.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, but I think that once you hit a certain level of numbers, that's when people are going to be like, no, I can't do this anymore. And that's another thing that circles back to like the MCU and stuff. Do you want to know why they also have to keep looking for new heroes and new actors? They just can't keep up with the regiment anymore.
Oh, it's wild what they have to go through.
ScarJo wrote her own death, for cripe's sake. RDJ was ready to
they're like, we're done.
Snap his fingers and die and stuff, because ScarJo has been Black Widow for over a decade.
Wild.
RDJ, he has been Iron Man since 2008.
Wow. That's when this phase of the MCU started, was in 2008. This spate of films,
Yes.
Wild.
So to be at their age and be able to keep up with that physique and that physical workout routine is exhausting on them.
Right.
So they're like, I can't keep putting myself through the workout. I can't be doing this many bench presses and stuff like that. I only have so much adrenaline in me. So they're literally deliberately killing themselves off so that they don't have to exhaust themselves anymore.
Yeah, I do hate how intense some actor regimens are. Like when you see that, somebody lost a ton of weight for a role, gained a ton of weight for a role, got super ripped in a really short. Literally, he's the poster child for it, to be honest. Nick Cage is an interesting one too, because in one of his early movies that almost nobody knows about, Birdie, I think he had.
I know about Birdie.
He had 2 teeth removed for
You're joking,
the role.
Right?
I don't know why. It was a lesson in my producing class. He was very much in character, I guess. But yeah.
The furthest I've gone for being in character was I played an Iranian shop owner, and I spent an entire week everywhere I went speaking with an Iranian accent.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's farthest better. I've gone to being as much in character method as one can possibly go. That's the farthest I'll go, is either to perfect the accent, or I don't know, maybe I just don't have to shave for a few months. I'm like, I'll do that. I'll rock
I'm okay with that. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Grow out your hair, shave. You know, some people, like, if they have a certain color hair when they're filming, they can only keep that certain color hair. They have to keep it exactly the same for the duration of filming. I mean, that can kind of suck for some people who want a little change, but I guess you signed up for it. Off topic, but have you seen what J.K. Simmons looks like in real life? He plays a bunch of characters, but he's a great. I love that actor so much. He is ripped, and he is an elderly man. He is absolutely ripped. I saw a photo of him like bench pressing in a gym, and I'm like, that's photoshopped. And someone's like, no, it's not. No. It's real.
I know who J.K. Simmons is. Yeah, J.K. Simmons, like, everybody knows him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, here's what's funny is that if you're a millennial who knows the first Spider-Man films, the ones that I choose to watch, not the ones with Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland is a little overrated. I'm sorry, Tom. Like, respect to you, man, and you're lucky you're engaged to Zendaya. I know you two are going to make beautiful kids together. But, dude, I grew up with Tobey Maguire.
Oh, gosh.
So,
I love Tobey Maguire.
That will always be my go-to. And yes, I didn't know J.K. Simmons was bald. I always thought he had hair.
And he's got such a great voice. You hear him in a lot of animation too.
He does,
but yeah, I love him. So yeah, very attached to the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire movies.
I think a lot of people who grew up with those films are attached to that and stuff like that. But you are right, like, the amount of like change one puts themselves through to become a character, and some people don't agree with, some actors themselves don't agree with it under any circumstances. Like, I always circle back to Heath Ledger, rest in peace, how the role killed him.
Yeah, he was going through a lot psychologically. I'm sure the role didn't help. But yeah, it was at the time he was playing Joker. Yeah.
The role is what they say, it's the role that killed him, because the thing is, so what he was doing was, you're playing a psychopath every single day. Think about what that does to your mentality. So what he would do is, at the end of the day, he would take drugs to kind of help him zone out of the character completely and just get back to being Heath again. But he was unaware as to how, like, hooked he was becoming, because he had become so dependent so that he could zone out, and ultimately the role killed him and stuff.
That's a shame.
I can still remember on Oscar night seeing that, and just seeing like the look on Christopher Nolan's face and RDJ and Kate Winslet, who immediately started crying the moment she saw his face on the screen. Like, yeah, that was heartbreaking.
Oh man. Yeah, that was a hard one to deal with. And, you know, obviously we just had one announced today with Michelle Trachtenberg. She passed away. She was only 39. That's way too young.
Christ. Oh my God. I did not
know.
All right. Rest in peace.
Yeah, she passed away either today or yesterday. They just announced it. But she was far too young. I don't think it was anything nefarious. I don't think it was like drugs or anything. It sounds like she had an operation, like a transplant or something, and it probably didn't go well, but we'll see when the information comes out. But I just saw pictures of her. I mean, obviously she's... Well, yeah, and you know what? That's absolutely their right, too. They don't have to. We shouldn't be up in these people's business as it is.
We never know. We don't know what killed Alan Rickman, for cripe's sake. His family made sure to keep their mouth shut about that.
Yeah, so that his legacy wouldn't be tarnished, or maybe just because it's none of our darn business, and that's okay.
I think he was a very private man in real life, from what I know. So I think it was very much out of respect that it's what he would have wanted. He's like, my life is my life. I'm gonna how about you guys shut the fuck up, basically.
That sounds fair to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you want to start talking more and do your own podcast, this is a shout out to all you media junkies out there, and anyone listening in who wants to start their own podcast, you can do so using Riverside. And if you want to support this podcast and have a chance to be a guest on the show, you can follow me on Instagram at ATK Media, or check me out online at Chatterbox 94. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like, please like and subscribe. I mean, as a video podcaster, like, subscribing is key and stuff like that. But every media junkie who's listening in, you know that just as well as I do. It's a rule.
It really is. Like and subscribe. It's almost a thing we say by rote at this point.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I wish there was a lot more to talk about there, but there are too many endless sequels in the book and endless
I understand.
remakes, and I'm sure within the next 5 years we'll probably see like remakes of stuff that was made only 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's getting to be ridiculous. It's getting to be when one movie starts and ends. Oh, now the next
Mhm.
one's coming.
Yes, definitely. And don't forget to listen in to Lights Camera Remake.
That's me.
It's a great podcast. Bridget does a phenomenal job. So if you're interested in some fun movie facts that I can't give you, I'm sure she can give them to you as well.
Thank you so much for the shout out. Thank you for having me on your podcast too. This has been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed listening to your episodes as well. So, I mean, keep fighting the good fight out there. I appreciate what you're doing.
Will do. All right. So for all you listening, until next time, stay high on life.